The voice of sharing during ASEAN.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, good morning. This is Gowri.
This is Arlene, and you are listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
So, how is everyone doing today? Leave us a comment on our Facebook page. Tell us how you're doing. And also, if you want to leave comments and suggestions for topics and speakers, you're more than welcome to do that.
Yeah, of course. Today is Monday, right?
It is Monday.
Oh
Finally,
my
you got it right.
God. Finally, I get it right.
So, how was your weekend, Arlene?
Weekend. It was actually my brother's my brother's wedding.
Oh, he got married yesterday.
Yeah, he
right?
got married yesterday. So I'm really happy for my brother.
So, when's your turn?
I wish I know.
I know that is a very sensitive question, but
I wish
just
I
thought
know.
maybe you're next in line and.
Next in line in which throne you're talking about? Okay, to start off our discussion today is, unfortunately, we have to go a bit on the heavy side of the topic, which is about Wan Aziza and Pakatan. So, as we all know, during the weekend, Pakatan, including PAS actually, PAS is definitely the decision maker in this Selangor saga. So, all the three main coalition of Pakatan backs Wan Aziza.
That's right, and Pakatan Rakyat will nominate PKR President Datuk Seri Wan Aziza Wan Ismail as its sole candidate for the Selangor Menteri Besar job, thanks to her deputy Azmin Ali. And this decision was to name her was made after the Pakatan Rakyat Leadership Council endorsed the nomination of two candidates, which was Dr. Wan Aziza and Azmin as proposed by PAS, but Azmin declined to be the second nominee in line with his party's
I didn't know about that. A lot of my friends who are a bit skeptical, I mean, they have an obviously alternative viewpoint on this Selangor Menteri Besar saga, and they were like questioning like why Azmin Ali as the second in line. So to them it is like just like one step ahead for him to be the Menteri Besar, or even to lead Pakatan itself.
That's right, and a lot of people are also getting more and more skeptical towards Anwar Ibrahim and the capability of him becoming our future prime minister. Even it seems that he is gradually climbing that ladder, and his plans are working out, and people are not so confident in him anymore, I would say.
Last week I played the game called Politico. It's a very interesting political card game. It sort of show you the real politics in Malaysia. And what I realize is the politics in Malaysia is very much, it's all about, putting the right people at the right place, and it's all about timing as well. So not much focus has been about, I would say, policy formulation, about trying to push forward a more transparent and democratic processes. And from what I see in the Selangor Menteri Besar crisis is the same thing. It seems like they are adamant to push Khalid Ibrahim away from his post as a Menteri Besar. But at the same time, the way they do it is very questionable. I think that's the main reason why people are a bit skeptical of what is actually happening, on the ground.
And although the past presidents actually supported this decision and he attended the meeting, he actually was absent from the press conference. He didn't want to be a part of it when
Who was absent?
Past President Datuk Seri Abdul Hadi
interesting.
Awang. He refused to be at the press conference when they were revealing that Dr. Wan Aziza will be the eventual candidate for the MB post.
So it seems like even within PAS themselves, they are a bit, I would say, divided in terms of their viewpoints.
Definitely. I mean, PKR is supposed to be a coalition of all our opposition parties, but even between them, between PAS, DAP, and Keadilan, it seems that they have not yet reached a consensus. They are not exactly on the same page, especially in regards to this Selangor MB issue.
They always, I mean, as I think everybody would know, people always sort of depict the Pakatan as marriages between people of very different personality and ideals, but they have to do it because they need to be pragmatic in terms of countering Barisan Nasional, which is perhaps an even bigger evil entity.
But why do you think Azmin refused to be the second candidate? And
It could be a political move to show that, hey, it's not me who who sort of nominate myself. It was somebody else. I'm just here for the sake of the party. I think it is a very strategic move, to gain support from people who don't necessarily support him.
And now it seems that she's going to be the ultimate candidate for PKR for the Menteri Besar post.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been quite shaky, I would say, inconsistent in their decision making and all that. But they finally narrowed it down to Dr. Wan Aziza, and it seems that she could very possibly be Selangor's next Menteri Besar.
Yeah, and I think this got a few of the past ulama a bit shaky. The same with UMNO as well, partly because Wan Aziza is a woman. There's a lot of discussion between my peers regarding on the role of women in politics. It seems like to be a woman in politics is almost impossible for you to hold the top job, partly because your biological attributions itself could, somehow be a reason for you not to hold the position. And it's true when you look at how they justify, because of her menses or her biological menstruation cycle, that she is not fit to be a Menteri Besar.
I guess in that regard, it's not just about Menteri Besar. Generally, in any workplace as well, people prefer hiring male candidates as opposed to female candidates.
This
because
is a perception, right?
Yeah, because they think that, this girl could just call up anytime and say, I got my period, I can't go to work, and that's supposed to be
pregnant,
okay.
I mean,
and then they have to pay
being
for the pregnancy leave,
Yeah.
and also that discrimination even exists right there.
Mm-hmm. Another viewpoint that I want to sort of highlight in the Menteri Besar saga, it seems like it has split the civil society as well in terms of who should support whom. For example, during the weekend, there's this one lawyer. He's a human rights lawyer. He chose to back Khalid Ibrahim in his view that he believed that Khalid Ibrahim is on the right side, and he questioned PKR's sort of existence by questioning the registrar of society. I mean, in terms of they registering themselves as a political entity. But then there's another not NGO person from Bersih. She sort of condemned him for raising that kind of viewpoint, because to her it's like you should if you believe in human rights, you should not question whatever that is happening between Pakatan and Khalid Ibrahim. So it has somehow split the civil society themselves, like who should support whom. But to me personally, I think what I see is, if regardless whether it's Pakatan or Khalid Ibrahim, if they believe in democratic processes, whatever decision that is being made, it should not be because what the party thinks. It should be because they have went through all these different democratic processes where they have consultation with the people that they agree to retain Khalid Ibrahim. Then he should be there, or he should not be there.
And speaking of human rights, we'll move on to the 5 participants of the nude event who are being remanded in Penang.
Oh my God, it's still going on.
It's still ongoing, and it seems that these people are being thoroughly investigated, and this is another issue that's drawing a huge outcry from the people, because the most common complaint would be there are so many other pressing issues in this country, and why is everyone focusing on catching these people?
Yeah, us, Penang. You're from Penang.
Well, I mean, it's not just Penang. It drew kind of a nationwide outcry from everyone. And yeah, of course, Lim Guan Eng himself
To be very
was
frank
really
with you,
shocked.
I never heard before the Penang nude sports game. It sounds like a very interesting game.
I don't think it's a real game. I think Lim Guan Eng will beg to differ with you. Like, no, we don't have nude sports game here.
As far as I know, like any official games, whether it's a big event, a huge event, or is a small one, it should be the government of whichever state it is should know about it. I suppose. Am I right on that?
I guess, but in this case, it definitely did not. It was not run by Lim Guan Eng, and he was really shocked when he first found out about what happened, and he even came up to say that no such thing is actually allowed in Penang, and there were different point of views from different people, different civil societies saying that, this is up to them. They had the whole island to themselves. It's not like they went walking in a public place, harassing people. It was just a private event that they had to themselves.
Yeah, so for them, for the Balik Pulau OCPD, to say that the case has been classified as gestures intended to insult the modesty of a person under Section 509 of the Penal Code, I don't think I would agree with that.
I think I would disagree with that as well, because this was just for themselves. They had their own intentions, which was just to be one with nature, and we were all born into this world naked, and that is it's really.
But to be fair with the government or the police forces themselves, nudity is not part of our culture. Even if it was, it has been long forgotten. I think we have somehow, since the 19th century or late or beyond, we have somehow adopted a more Puritan ideology of how human beings should wear. So in that sense, when you talk about nudity, you straight away think about porn or about, the extreme idea about what nudity is all about. But in some countries or even some places, nudity is a way of life.
That's right. I mean, if you go to Sabah and Sarawak to like the villages and all, and if they see you nude, they probably think that, oh, that's very normal, that's.
You don't even have to talk about Sabah Sarawak. What about other countries? For example, in the US, there are nudist communities where, grandmothers, grandchildren, father, mother, like the whole family and the whole community just go naked and do their own thing. And I saw one documentary, just document, the lifestyle of these nudists. They seem like really, really noble people. The only difference is they don't have clothes on, which I think is sort of save money in terms of not being part of the fashion industry propaganda.
So yeah, it seems that these people are being remanded now, and hopefully they won't be severely punished or anything, because they really meant no harm to the people. They were just a bunch of people there trying to have fun and do it their own way.
Yeah, I still remember the days where my grandmother told me, and also, old people used to tell me that they used to bathe in the river, just wearing the sarong, that's it. Or going around the town wearing sarong. But I think those days are gone now.
Yeah, they're definitely gone. way into the past.
Another issue also related to Malaysia is about Bong Mokhtar. And Bong Mokhtar lodges police report against Surendran over YouTube allegation. Interesting.
So a police report has been lodged against Padang Serai MP N Surendran for allegedly implying that the Prime Minister was influencing the courts in fixing dates for the sodomy case of opposition leader Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. And Bong Mokhtar also lodged a police report at the Kinabatangan District Police against Surendran, who purportedly made the allegations in a YouTube video.
What YouTube video is that?
Apparently he made a YouTube video, and some of the contents were, I guess they would call it offensive to the Prime Minister. And first of all, I don't think that Bong Mokhtar is in the position to actually lodged a police report against these people, because he has made some pretty controversial remarks himself.
Especially towards women.
Towards women, yes, and even when Germany won the World Cup, he said, yes, go Nazi and all that, and now he is.
I'm not sure if Germans would want to invite him to visit the country.
So in his report on Saturday, he highlighted the some of the quotes by Surendran, who is actually Anwar's lawyer. and saying that this is an attempt to jail the opposition leader and we hold Najib Tun Razak personally responsible. And yeah, that were the actual quotes by Surendran. And such statements made by Surendran in the video were not only a lie, but also claims to embarrass our Prime Minister, according to Bong Mokhtar.
What I see from here is both candidates, whether it's Surendran or it's Bong Mokhtar, I think the politics that they are playing is pretty childish. I mean, to me, if you feel that, someone is fixing the date, talking about the opposition party MP, if he believed that the way the politics is that is going on is not clean, he shouldn't make a YouTube video about it. He should either make a campaign or press charges or lodge a police report. Go through the official way before you make allegation. Or not, you will just see you'll just be seen as someone who is crying wolf.
I suppose he thought that was the easiest way to reach out to people because YouTube is really big now, especially with all the YouTubers. So he was probably trying to go the faster way to reach out to everyone, because we know that videos can go really viral in just 1 or 2 days. And I'm guessing that it did, which is why it came to the attention of Bong Mokhtar. But I still stand by what I said earlier. Of all the people, I don't think Bong Mokhtar should be the one pressing charges, because anyone else could be pressing charges against him too for all the things that he said. And he was also putting our country, I would say, under not a very good light, because if I remember correctly, even the German ambassador told him to withdraw his statement about the Nazis and all, and he's not exactly doing a good job with this country either. So why would he now interfere in someone else's business and say, oh, you cannot say that will tarnish the reputation
some people,
of this
they just
country.
Want to have
to watch the world burn.
No, I think some people, they just want to be in the limelight. It's nice to be in the limelight as long as you have the power to be in the limelight. Another country that is also in the limelight is, of course, our beloved Brunei, because Brunei makes a play for New York's Plaza Hotel.
So this New York Plaza is actually, it used to be the most expensive hotel in the world.
Oh, and, I still remember the movie Home Alone.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And right now, the Sultan of Brunei is making, he's trying to pay for the hotel, and he's paying about $2 billion to acquire this New York Plaza Hotel, as well as the London's Governor House and the Dream Hotel in Lower Manhattan.
Wow, he has a lot of money. And in fact, the hotel analysts said that if Brunei acquires the plaza, it could drag the famed hotel into the dispute, potentially damaging its business and reputation. And absolutely, there would be protests and talks of boycotts, just like in LA.
So the problem with this is that for the reputation that the Plaza Hotel has, they do not want it to fall into the hands of the Sultan of Brunei, mainly because of him approving the Sharia law and all back then, a couple of months, as we reported. And because apparently most people in US, of course, they are against this whole Sharia law. They think it's against human rights. So their major concern here is that if this hotel falls under the Sultan of Brunei, there will be protests from the human rights group saying that we don't want this hotel to be run by someone who is so bigoted and who is backwards. So that is actually, it's kind of like his past catching up with him, because he approved that law and now they don't want him to be in charge of this hotel for that sole reason, although he has all the money.
It's a bit hypocritical, because you want to impose certain kind of puritanical law in your own country to ensure that your people adhere to all these different, very strict Sharia law, but at the same time, outside of Brunei, you just do whatever you want, and it doesn't make sense. And in fact, he's using all this oil money to control, his assets and to expand it even more.
And also, it seems that the Human Rights Campaign said, we urge all New Yorkers to have one simple and straightforward message to the Sultan, which is take your business elsewhere. So they are strongly against him approving the Sharia law, and even if he can bring in all that money, they still don't want him. And I think this is a very good example to show that money is not always the important thing.
That's true. And I love the Plaza Hotel. I mean, I never been there, but it has been the site for many movie location. I mean, the most famous one, of course, is the Home Alone. I still remember watching it, and I love it. I love the place. I love the whole movie. And it has such a huge impact towards the psyche of a lot of the world community, not just Americans. The next one is about the Philippines. So Philippines will continue the evacuation of its people from Libya.
The Philippines will work to repatriate thousands more of its nationals from Libya after more than 700 were ferried to safety on a chartered ship, the presidential palace said yesterday. And the President Aquino's spokesman, Herminio Coloma, said the commitment of the government is to continue to work for the rescue of all Filipinos in dangerous situations in other countries.
Yeah, so apparently they ordered a mandatory evacuation, meaning that they have to leave whether they want it or not. And I think all Filipino is probably very scared at this juncture of time where Libya's military, Libya is facing a growing violence between the rival militia groups. And for example, I think the worst case was the beheading of a Filipino construction worker and gang rape of a Filipino nurse in Tripoli last month.
And apart from that, a lot of people were brutally killed as well, and that really terrified the Philippines government. And apparently a total of over close to 3,000, actually it's about 2,700 Filipinos have returned from Libya after 766 Filipinos were evacuated on a chartered ship and then flown home over the weekend.
Anyway, the officials said that about 10,000 Filipinos still remain despite government's warning, and it may not be able to send another rescue ship, unfortunately.
So there is about 10 million Filipinos who work all over the world, not just in Libya, because they can actually get a higher salary as opposed to what they can get back home in Philippines. And this could be the reason why some of them, which is about the 10,000 Filipinos, are not going back to their country. But it is getting dangerous there now, and I think that despite whether they're getting a high salary or not, they should just go back to the country first, because your safety always has to come first before the money.
Definitely. And talking about challenges, ASEAN is also facing a collective challenge, and all the countries in ASEAN are badly in need to pay more attention to new challenges in the security landscape of both these and more far-flung regions of the globe, addressing them with intensive collective discussion.
And though a few commercial airlines have been shut down over the past decades, the downing in Eastern Europe last month of Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 was especially shocking for our region here in ASEAN. And it seems that the main issue here is that we are not paying enough attention as a whole, like not just picking on any countries, but as ASEAN, the bloc itself, that we're not doing enough to address all the pressing issues that is happening right now.
And another pressing issue is, I think has been highlighted many times, is the conflict in the South China Sea. That China is trying to regain its economic, military and political power to ensure that South China Sea belongs to China, instead of, as what being demarcated by the United Nations, where each country in the Southeast Asia has its own fair share of territory in South China Sea.
And apart from that, ASEAN is also paying very little attention to what you said, the South China Sea, and also towards MH17. And I think we talked about this before, that Malaysia can be very neutral, that we tend to sit on the fence, we don't really take sides.
We tend to be very silent. I mean, for example, the best example is the South China Sea. Until now, a collective ASEAN voice, as in like a press statement by ASEAN, has not been out there yet. I mean, there are press statement voices by individual countries like Filipinos and Vietnam and Thailand and a few others to voice out their disagreement with the way China is handling the South China Sea, but not the rest of the Southeast Asian country, or a collective voice. So it seems like every country in ASEAN is pretty divided when it comes to foreign policy, international relations. In fact, a few days ago, I read an article, very interesting, wrote by this American professor. He said that international affairs are actually dividing the viewpoints of individual countries in South China Sea. For example, Filipinos can be very, very pro-US. Malaysia, Singapore are very neutral. They need both of the countries, while Myanmar can be very pro-China.
Yes, and I think we definitely cannot be taking a neutral stance anymore. We have been playing the safe side for so long, but now it's time to speak up, like what Jokowi did. That was very, very applaudable. He stood up and he said, hey, if you guys need a moderator, Indonesia is ready. And I think Malaysia, Singapore, every other ASEAN country need to also be proactive, and whenever there's anything, not just about the South China Sea or MH17, whenever there's anything going on in our region, we need to speak up before someone else from the outside comes in and offer to help us, because there's like 10 countries here, and I'm pretty sure that we are capable of solving our own problems.
Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty positive as well. So that's all for today in our news commentary, and we hope that you can let us know your feedback on any of the Southeast Asian news via Facebook, Twitter, and of course, you can always, listen to us back in YouTube.
Yes, we have our YouTube channel, and we are also on Twitter, on Facebook. So do follow us, do like our page, and we'll be back in a bit for our
Blast from the
Grassroots session later.
Gowri.